buddy. Anyway, all right, so that's it for football. So NBA season starts, I believe, on Tuesday.
Okay.
So let's put our NBA caps on. I'm really excited for the season. I feel like this season's just got a lot of teams involved, a lot of teams that could, that have a shot at it this year. So I feel like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I just wrote down some questions, just kind of looking at NBA preview stuff. So is there any better unintentional comedy team than the Brooklyn Nets?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, the Nets and the Lakers, to me, are just going to be it's comedy gold. There's
Lakers, are they going to trade Westbrook before the deadline? Is that the strategy now?
It's beyond. I don't know what the deal is. It's beyond strategy at this point. I don't know why they don't just send him home. Just send him home, or buy him out. You can't. This is not going to go well. There's no way you can't be a productive team with this guy out there. It's funny. It's sad when Patrick Beverley has to be the guy in your team to bring people together.
Yeah, that's a little odd.
What is going on? And there's a whole article on ESPN I read today about Kyrie Irving, giving a whole thing that he still thinks he's going to get a huge contract after this year's up. He still believes it, and Ben Simmons is leaning on Kyrie for his tutelage. I mean, it's just too much. I read this article that Kyrie gives these long-winded answers about how, life is beautiful and how we all have to, do our part and all of this nonsense. And, it sounds all very nice, but I read this about Ben Simmons leaning on Kyrie, and I just went, please let them keep everybody. Let them just keep this whole team together.
And the funniest part about this is, look, if Durant, Kyrie, and Ben Simmons play, we've criticized Ben Simmons a bunch. He's a really good defensive player, and if he's on transition or something like that, he's still really good. So the funny thing is, if they're all playing, they're probably going to win a lot of games. Too.
Exactly right. As our good buddy Ryan Russillo said, just play in the basketball games, and everything will probably work out. But they won't. I'm telling you right now, something will happen. And, everybody, the other thing with Kyrie Irving is something's going to happen this year. All these guys get hurt. Kyrie Irving gets hurt more often, but Durant's getting hurt now. Ben Simmons was hurt last year. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to miss games because of something, and it's amazing. So, yeah, I think the Nets are number one in unintentional comedy. Lakers are probably right behind them. But if they move Russell Westbrook, it kind of, I don't know, it's not really the same anymore. But, I don't want to go into a whole thing on the Lakers documentary on here, but, watch the Lakers documentary. You'll see what they're made of.
Yeah. If you want a little bit of basketball stuff, and then you just a lot of family drama with the Buss family, which I don't really care about. Sorry. It's just kind of, there's a lot of stuff in there. I'm I really don't want to, and then I don't necessarily want to moralize here, but I did think it was kind of interesting that it seemed like throughout the documentary, Jeannie Buss is talking about how she kept wanting to be taken seriously. Right. And then she poses in Playboy. I mean, in the 90s or whatever it was. So whatever. Anyway, I don't want to moralize, but
yeah. Anyway, so back to real basketball.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so let's go conferences. What team are you looking forward to? Let's go. All right, Eastern Conference. What team are you really interested to see this year? What's your number one?
I guess. I mean, to be honest, I guess Cleveland. I mean, Milwaukee's going to be good. Giannis is really good. Philadelphia, we're unsure about. That'll be. I guess that's sort of interesting to see, or if it all just kind of blows up like it always seems to. But Cleveland, that should be interesting. They look like a really good young team. They got Donovan Mitchell, so we'll see how that plays out. Beyond that, I mean, obviously we're Heat fans, so I'll be watching that. But I just don't. I feel like the Eastern Conference got better, and I don't feel like the Heat got much better, if at all. So I just kind of feel like the last, this past year and then 2 years ago in the bubble was fun, but I don't really see that happening again.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with the Heat. As always, there's going to be one team that does worse than we think because of whatever situation, injuries or whatever. But yeah, I have Cleveland on the list of my teams. I'm really fascinated by it. I just want to point out that Cleveland is projected to have 47 wins, and the Bulls are projected to have 41. So, I think Cleveland's going to be really good. I think they're going to be a top 6 team, and I think I don't think that they're championship ready or anything, but that's a team that I'm really interested to see because they could get a whole lot better from the beginning of the season to the end, and that I think is going to be really interesting. Obviously, yeah, Eastern Conference. I believe in Milwaukee the most, and then it's kind of a toss up between Philly and Boston.
Still, I believe in Milwaukee up to a point, and it's like it's not like they're totally blowing people away. Giannis is basically unstoppable, but the rest of it's kind of hopefully they get enough contributions from everybody else. But
right, yeah. In the West, I think the Warriors are still at the top of the mountain. But I'm a Denver guy. I'm a Denver guy, not a Clipper guy. I think Denver could be. First of all, Jokic plays pretty much every game. So as a regular season team, they're going to be awesome, regardless of anything that happens. Like they're just going to be awesome. And if I get a full season of Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Aaron Gordon, like that's a really good team. And then if they get Michael Porter Jr. back at any time this season. Like, I don't even care if he plays until March or April. If they get him back for the playoffs, they have a chance to be scary good. And, yes, I know the defense with Jokic out there, you can complain about it. I get it. But they got Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They got Bruce Brown. I feel like they improved their team where they needed to. And to me, that's a team that I'm super excited about that I think could be a problem for a team like the Warriors.
Right. The Clippers, I just, do they have the potential? I mean, maybe, but remember, if anyone's basing that, if they're saying that they think the Clippers are going to be really good, they're basing that on what? Basically, 2 years ago in the playoffs, it seemed like they had figured some stuff out, and they came back in the Mavericks series, and then it was 2-2 against the was it Utah? Yeah, it was Utah. It was 2-2 against Utah, and it looked like they had everything figured out, and then Kawhi got hurt. But then Paul George actually played pretty well the rest of the playoffs into the Western Conference Finals. But it's like, okay, that was 2 years ago, guys. You don't just pick up right where you left off. So I need to see them sort of get back to what they had figured out there, and I don't know if that's going to happen or not. There's too many questions, So, that remains to be seen. I mean, I guess you put the Warriors there. Dallas, did Dallas add anybody or anything?
Christian Wood, they got. It's kind of like a small ball center type, but
yeah,
no, they really didn't add anything. I mean, Tim Hardaway will be playing because he was out last year.
Right. So, we'll see if that's enough. It's a lot of it's really based on what Luka can do because he's a ball dominant player and he's kind of in control of what's going on. And they don't have Jalen Brunson, so.
Right. Yeah. I think. Dallas is gonna. Luka's gonna be trying to carry them. They need to. They're in position to make a trade. That's what they're going to need. The team as constituted. I think the West is too difficult. Back to what you said about the Clippers, though. Yeah. I just don't know how you can trust the Clippers. Like at this point, Kawhi and Paul George have a lot of miles on them. They've both had a lot of surgeries, a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't have a reservoir of I see what they're talking about now and they can just do that. It
feels to me like the bubble year and then the year after that was kind of their shot. And it's just the thing in the NBA is it's not like it just keeps going and you keep having a window that's open. It's not, and that's the other thing too with Milwaukee, like, are they still going to get enough from everybody else, enough three-point shooting and enough defense and stuff from everybody else? Right. That's somewhat of a question. It's not, you're not just a championship contender forever, so.
Yeah. Let's see. We already talked about the Cavaliers. How much do you think the Celtics coaching issues are going to affect them? Now, I said coaching issues. Yeah.
Yeah, coaching issue. I think that's going to matter a lot because it seemed like he gave them the identity that they needed for a while, and they had figured out how they have to play. So, you can say, well, the other players can hold everybody accountable, and it's like, okay,
they weren't doing that before. Yeah, they weren't doing that before Udoka got there. So yeah, I do think it's an issue. I find it interesting though, looking at the over-unders, like there's no team that has more than 50 that's projected to get more than 53 wins. So it's like, I just think every year there's a team that jumps out. Somebody's got to get to 57, 58 wins, I think. So I don't know who that team is going to be.
Golden State could do that. I mean, if Klay Thompson, coming back another year off, another year away from those serious injuries, maybe he's more like himself and he's more consistent. And then, you got Wiggins, who now he's won a championship and now they kind of know how he has to play.
And they're young guys, if their young guys show up.
Right, exactly. So if they do more of that, they could be a team that could win 60 games. We'll see. But, the Celtics, that really concerns me because I just feel like coaching really matters especially for setting a culture. And I just don't know that they're going to have the same. And if they don't have that same thing, they're not the same team. So
it's true. Yeah. So we'll see. I'm interested to see how they work in Brogdon, how that helps. Because they need help with their offense. So maybe they can do a better job offensively, and maybe that can help them because that was their issue all last year. It wasn't the defense, it was the offense. And so, maybe that'll help. All right, how much does a Draymond Green punch really matter?
Well, it's interesting that they re-signed Andrew Wiggins and Jordan Poole. I guess that came out today or yesterday.
And they gave them both extensions, yep.
Yeah, Draymond Green is still he's on his last year of his contract, right?
Last year, and then he has an option after that, 1 year, a player option for the next year. So he can still come back. But yeah, reading the figures, it's insane. The Warriors will have, starting in I think 23-24 season, they will have almost a $500 million payroll.
I can see some other teams around the league being pissed off about this because essentially the luxury tax was put in there to prevent people from just recklessly spending, and they're just sort of doing that. So, yeah, that is kind of – look, if you keep winning, I guess it's fine. But, like I said, I was saying this last year, I think the Warriors' title window closes after this year because they're like, oh, they got all these younger players. They're still led by Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, and if they're not being major contributors, how good is Jordan Poole going to be if he's like one of the main guys? How good is Jonathan Kuminga? We haven't seen him play that much. Who's the other guy? The big guy?
James Wiseman.
He keeps getting hurt.
Right.
So I don't know how you can trust these other guys in a big spot where you would have to trust Steph and the other guys to kind of to figure it out. So, again, I could be wrong, but it is kind of like this, when you're winning, spending all that money is fine, but,
Right. Yeah.
I just think it's funny that, like, I especially I like the Warriors to win just because it pisses Nick Wright off. Because he's never liked the Warriors winning. He always has something bad to say about it, but whatever.
Yeah, I totally get it. I think these things, as far as the incident itself, Draymond punching Jordan Poole, I think athletes get over this stuff pretty easily. I don't think this is necessarily the thing that's going to derail them from winning the title this year. But the thing is like, this is what you get with Draymond.
Yeah,
like this is the problem. Like stuff like this happens. And, like the blow up with Kevin Durant in 2019, like, this is the problem is, does this lead to more stuff? I think that's more the issue.
Well, and the thing is, remember, 2019, that thing happened. They still went to the finals and they would have won if Durant didn't get hurt.
Right.
So, I think you can kind of especially if you're winning, you can kind of play through this stuff. But, does it reach a point where they're like, okay, we're sick of Draymond? It's like, I don't know that it does because part of their team is based on he's a big part of it, the way he plays defense and the way he organizes everything, and you can't just replace that. So,
yeah, they're in a tough spot. You know, what do they do after the season? You know, do they move on? You know, do they try to trade Draymond? They try to persuade him not to opt in. Like, I don't know how that's going to go. Let's see. How long can the Lakers put up with Russell Westbrook?
Well, the thing is, like, how good are the Lakers going to be if Anthony Davis and LeBron are playing?
They'll be pretty good.
I would think they'd be pretty good. Now, are they a top team in the West? I don't know. But, I mean, you know, if they're playing and they're playing at a high level, they're still really good. So, like I said, if you're winning, I guess you can kind of go along with it and you can put up with it. But if it turns out to be another bad year, then they'll be looking to figure out a way to get him out of there.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of a make or break year with Golden State. You know, we'll see kind of how it goes. But yeah, no, I think I don't understand why the Lakers are allowing this to go on. I don't understand why they're letting Russell Westbrook play in these games. I have no idea. Like, I just think this is a terrible idea. But you know what? Unintentional comedy. Go right ahead, guys. Just continue with your nonsense. I have no idea why they're letting. Like, I would have sent him home. I would have bought him out. I would have gotten him out of there. See you later. You know, this idea that they're
going. What I want to know is, where are all the Russell Westbrook defenders the last few years? It kind of seems funny. We're not hearing a lot from them about. And now, granted, Russell Westbrook's a Hall of Famer. He'll get into the Hall of Fame. He's one of the most athletic players we've ever seen. But, I mean, guys, it's been this the whole time with Russell Westbrook. Not just the last few years. It's been this the whole time. Okay? It's just, in the past, he was more physically, he was younger, so he was, he was faster and whatever else. He was more physically all there. So, yeah, it's just kind of funny. Like, I felt like for so many years there were so many people defending him, and now I don't really hear that as much. A lot of more people are criticizing him. I'm like, well, guys, this was the whole thing, like the whole time. So,
yeah. I mean, is there any team you think has a chance to be like scary good? I mean, obviously, I think the Warriors kind of fit that.
Like I said, the Warriors, maybe Denver. If everybody's there and they're playing and they kind of get back into their thing, maybe they'll be really good. I mean, Jokic won the MVP again, didn't he?
Yeah.
Last year. So, beyond that, I mean, I don't really. Maybe New Orleans. Yeah. If Zion is playing, like, they could be pretty damn good. Especially the way Brandon Ingram was playing last year. So we'll see.
Yeah, so that kind of leads into the next question. What player are you really excited to watch this year? I mean, I think Zion is pretty high on pretty much everyone's list. Right. Yeah, I mean, I kind of think, like, talking about Zion, I mean, I think this is kind of the make or break year for Zion. I know he signed that extension, but if I don't see it this year, then I'm kind of out. Like, if I don't see it, like, this year on a consistent basis, like, at that point, it's like, dude, like, you've had all these chances. Like, when am I going to see it? You got drafted in 2018 or 2019. Like, there's 3 years, man. So, yeah, that being said, yeah, I'm really excited to watch New Orleans. I think that could be, on any given night, that could be such an incredibly fun team to watch.
Do you care that much about LeBron? He's going to end up breaking... unless he gets seriously injured, we're assuming he's going to break Kareem's points record.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really cool. It's a really cool record to have. I've got the most points ever. Of course, the way the internet works today, everyone will shit on him. But I think it's a really cool. I think that's an awesome record to have. I'm the all-time leading scorer in the NBA. I mean, that's pretty damn cool.
What some of the haters will say, like Colin Cowherd, I don't care about records. Dude, shut up. Okay, some of these records are cool. And by the way, the players do care about this stuff. I don't care what they say, or I don't care what you think, they do give a shit. Brady does give a shit that he basically owns all the significant passing records in the NFL. Okay, I know the NFL isn't necessarily a number sport, and by the way, neither is the NBA really. But players give a shit about this. They give a shit about winning MVPs and all this other stuff. So I don't want to hear this stuff that doesn't matter. You know?
Yeah, LeBron knows how many points he has. He knows how many points he needs in order to get to Kareem. So yeah, I agree with you. That's a really interesting record. All right, let's see. Any other teams that we didn't talk about? Well, I'm sorry. Let's go back to, what players are you looking forward to? Listen, I'm always looking forward to see Luka play. Like, you don't need to sell me on that. That's a done deal. Listen, I think Jokic is awesome to watch play just from a basketball standpoint. Like the stuff that he does is just awesome. I'm trying to think. I really want to see how Donovan Mitchell does in Cleveland. Really excited about that. I'm trying to think anybody else that I'm like fascinated by. The tanking this year is going to be fascinating.
Because of Ben Wembanyama?
Yeah.
So who do you think? Well, who do you think's got right now? Who's got the lead in terms of who's got the lead in the clubhouse to get the number one pick?
I think Utah and Oklahoma City are going to be. They're really going to be swinging for it. I think the problem with teams like Orlando and Houston is they have really good young players now. So I think that's just going to cause them to win too many games. Orlando has like 3 or 4 like top 10 picks on their team. Like they're just, I just think those teams are just going to win. And Detroit too. They have Cade Cunningham and they just drafted that Jaden Ivey kid. So I just think those teams are just going to be, they're going to try too hard. So I think, I really think Oklahoma City, because Chet Holmgren's out for the year or whatever, I think, and Utah is obviously tanking. I think that those, and San Antonio.
So they drafted Chet Holmgren. They could get this other guy too.
Yeah.
It's going to be the Oklahoma City Giants. Like, good Lord.
Yeah, they have Chet Holmgren. They still have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm trying to, and they got Josh Giddey. Like, they have all the guys that they've drafted the past couple years. But and honestly, like, if you're in the bottom 6, like, that's really the bottom 3. You get the same odds to get the number 1 pick. But if you're in the bottom 6, you have like really good odds to get one of the top 2 picks. So that's really what it's going to be. You don't really, like, the way they change the rules and the way the teams are now, like, you're not really going to have to go crazy all you have to be is in the bottom 6.
Right.
And you have a really good shot. And then plus there's the other guy, the point guard, Scoot Henderson. Like, he's unbelievable too. So whoever gets the number 2 pick is going to be fine with it. They're not going to be upset, So it's not one guy that you're tanking for. There's 4 or 5 guys in this draft that are legit, that guys would all want. So I don't think it's going to be, I think when it gets to March and April, you might see some shady stuff. But for the most part, like, no matter how hard Orlando tries, they're not going to win more than 30 games. Right. So, but I think it's going to be something to keep your eye on. Like, you're going to get, I do think somebody like the Lakers maybe is going to get a bunch of wins in the second half of the season, and they're going to be kind of fraudulent.
Yeah.
I do see that happening. Well, let's see. Any other, let's see. As far as players, I think we kind of named, kind of went through all the ones that we love to watch. Do you think the Phoenix Suns, is that going to be like a real problem for them, the DeAndre Ayton situation? Or do you think, my personal feeling is, I think they're going to win a lot of games anyway. I don't think it matters that much.
Yeah. But I do wonder if they're, it's the same problem as last year. And like I said, I had said last year, like, their title window closes after this year. I don't think they can win the championship again. Because I just think you're going to get later, Chris Paul's going to play a bunch of games and he may get hurt or something. And especially he may get hurt in the playoffs. And I just don't think they have enough, in terms of DeAndre Ayton and even Booker. I just don't think they have enough to kind of overcome that if Chris Paul's being guarded by people and you just can't do anything. So,
yeah, I think it could be. We'll see how it goes with them trying to sell the team. Does that affect, how they're able to operate? And again, they really need to rest Chris Paul and find a way to get a backup point guard, to rest him some games, because he just gets worn out every year. So it just feels like that's inevitable for that to keep happening. All right. Yeah. I mean, that's all I really had. I mean, are you just as simple as the Warriors Bucks finals, or do you feel like?
I mean, I guess that's probably what I would predict at this point. But yeah, I mean, there's some like Denver has a chance at it. The Clippers sort of, and then I guess you could maybe Brooklyn or Philadelphia. Yeah, beyond that, I don't know. I mean, weird stuff could happen, but I don't see the Heat being able to make a run past like the second round or even the first round. It depends where the seeding is, So I just, the NBA is usually one of the more predictable sports, barring injury. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been Warriors Bucks last year if Chris Middleton didn't get hurt. So,
yeah, I think for Philadelphia, it's nice they don't have to go into the season with the whole Ben Simmons thing hanging over them. I think that's a nice benefit to this year. So we'll see how it goes. I think their new additions could really help them though. They got PJ Tucker and Daniel House. I think.
Right.
I think that's that's the kind of stuff that they needed. So yeah, I'm definitely. But I've been rooting for Philadelphia for 4 years, and they always disappoint me. So.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, that's our NBA preview. So, anything else before we go?